John, but for those who didn't know him as well as you guys did, tell me just a little bit about him in a nutshell.
Go ahead, Reggie.
There's a lot of words to describe John, and amazing, wonderful, a good man, the type of guy you want. If you had a big brother, that's the type of guy that you would want for your big brother. I mean, you can go to him for anything. I mean, hands down is the nicest person that I've ever met, and me and him have talked many a nights and many days about just different things about life in general, and he's always had good, good things and just good advice. You go to, when somebody gives you good advice, it just makes sense to you, and just like now it's clicking. He's that guy, and it's just, I know everything good comes to an end, and unfortunately, we lost John.
Mark, you guys go way back. You've seen John through different stages of life. What was he like?
John and I met 36 years ago in the police academy. We were academy mates and got to know each other in the academy. And through the process of our career of 36 years coming up here, we've been in several units together. And there's been times we weren't together, but we've always been friends. Just to know John is to love him. He's sincere. He'll tell you what he thinks. That's the thing about it. If you want to know, John will tell you exactly how it is. He didn't hesitate on doing that. But that's good, because, you want people like that. But, working with him in several years here in homicide, he's a great interviewer. He can get people to talk to him, and that's what we need in this unit. You gotta be able to have people talk to you. But he's also compassionate. He had compassion to victims, and he showed even suspects respect. But getting away from the work aspect of it, we grew up together on this department basically, and just it's hard because we planned on retiring together next year. And that's hard because I wanted to do that with him. We were going to leave at the same time, and now it's unfortunate, but I know he's in a better place now.
Did he have a true passion for this specific unit?
Yes, yeah, definitely he did. He loved working homicides. He loved working with this unit and the people in it, and probably one of the more compassionate people towards the victims that we've seen. He was compassionate to victims, and he was compassionate to, sometimes even to the suspects. He could get down to, or get down not to their level, but get down to the point where he could talk to them and they would trust him and they would tell him exactly what happened. They just felt like they could open up to him, and that's a true talent in this industry.
This unit is unlike any other in law enforcement, especially here. You guys are practically on call 24/7. You spend a lot more time here sometimes during the week than you do at home with your families. What is that family bond like, and especially with John in this unit?
Well, you're right. We spend as much time with our squad mates as we do at home, sometimes more. And that bond can never be broken. Just because John's gone now from this world doesn't mean that it's going to ever be broken. He'll forever be in our hearts and our memories. And the thing we can do in this unit is what John would want, and that's to keep moving on, keep doing the job the way it should be done with integrity, and take the bad people off the streets. And that's what he would want.
John always told me this job is easy to do when you got a lot of people around you that know what they're doing. And that's the truth. I've learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from Mark. I learned a lot from a lot of the guys that were here prior to me. And, I've taken bits and pieces of everything and tried to incorporate it in the way I do things. And one thing about John is, he's always respectful to people. He treats suspects just as he would as a victim or anything like that. He's never disrespectful. He's just a wonderful, warm person. And it's truly going to be missed.
When I talked to his daughter today, the exact words were, he was a great detective, amazing dad, but born to be a grandfather. Did you guys?
Oh yeah, he loved his grandkids. He was very proud of them. And if you look at his desk, there's pictures of him everywhere. He's got a rotating screenplay on his computer that shows his grandkids and kids. He was a family man. He loved his wife, he loved his family, he loved his kids, he loved his grandkids. And, he loved his police family also. But he was definitely a family man. The show has brought a lot of notoriety to us here in Tulsa. And, but we're no different than a lot of other homicide squads and different agencies. And I think John would tell you that, the key that we have here is that, and John was a big part of it, it's a team sport here. It's a team effort. And, coming from his athletic background in football, and a lot of us are ex-athletes, we know that team spirit, we know that team, you have to work as a unit. And if you don't, you're not successful. And he really pushed that team effort.
Whitney was telling me out there that you guys, they were called the old married couple here in the office. What are your...
Two old men on a park bench is the way we refer to them. It's two old men on a park bench. And it can get funny sometimes. It's just, it was hilarious. But they love each other. Irregardless, sometimes they disagree. We disagreed all the time. But you got to have that, And John will tell you exactly how he felt, whether you liked it or not. And sometimes I was like, JP, did you mean that? He said, well, I probably shouldn't have said it like that. But
there's been a few of those.
There's been a few times, and he said, I guess I should apologize. That's the type of person he was. Didn't hold a grudge, didn't walk around, angry all the time. He's the happiest person I've ever met. Never, ever one time did he complain about how he was feeling or his condition. So I made sure, even if I didn't feel good coming to work, I never complained about it, because he's going through stuff that's a lot worse than I'm going through it, and he never complained. So why should I complain? So
he was very courageous through this. And Reggie's right. He, never complained about being sick. He's a tough son of a gun, and he fought it hard. And, just like we've always said, it's an inspiration for us. There's nothing to complain about, because seeing what he went through and how he fought it, it's an inspiration. And, just so proud to have had him as a friend and as a co-worker.
How long did he battle?
I think his first bout with cancer was in 2018. And then, don't hold me to that date, but I think it was around 2018. And he was in remission for several years. And then last year, he got some bad news. And he fought that battle, very, very hard. As soon as I get out of here, I'll probably be in the office on Monday. He just kept, and I think that was his way of keep going. I'm going to try to get there, and unfortunately it didn't work out, but it was just the mindset of wanting to do it. And, that tells you a lot about his character.
He was a very private guy. Most people didn't even know he had cancer.
That's the way John was. Reggie, I'll tell you, private guy. He let us know here. There's people that knew, but it wasn't poor me. This has happened to me. It was, hey, I'm living life. I'm going to live it to the fullest, and I'm going to fight this, and we'll go from there.
People all over the world. I've gotten many phone calls in the past day, of people from all over the country calling and paying their respects and saying, hey, man, we loved him. I know you guys loved him, and you guys worked with him, so we don't even know him, but we loved him anyway. That's just the type of, that's the way he reached. That's just the type of energy that he released to people, and people can see that and feel that. And just thinking, if people can see it and feel it that doesn't even know him, just think of how we feel.
A lot of times our homicide investigations take us outside of our jurisdiction, Arkansas, Texas, and some of those agencies and the detectives we have dealt with have reached out, heard that he was, no longer with us, and they send their condolences, and that tells you a lot about John. Social media has just been crazy, as far as the outpouring of their hearts to our unit, the family, obviously, mostly the family, just to show their appreciation for John. And he's that type of guy, to know him is to love him, and thank God that got to know him and got to love him.
You guys spent a lot of time together.
We all do, you know, and you know, the funny story is John, you know, even into our late 50s and 60s, John would be talking about, you know, doing something athletic that none of us have any business to do us. And John, I can do that. You know, John would say, I can do that. I'm an athlete. And he was an athlete, but, you know, we're in our 50s. He still, in your mind, thinks he can do it, you know. So it was funny. He had a good sense of humor.
Anything stick out to you?
Yeah, a lot of things we can't talk about. Yeah. But that is one of the things, you know, I always say, I can't do that. He said, well, I can. Well, how can you? Well, I'm an athlete. And he'll look at that, I'm an athlete. I said, I know you are, JB. You're absolutely right. You are. Just, he was a phenomenal athlete too. You know, he was a lot thinner back then. You know,
We all were.
Yeah, as we all were. But and he could tell you how fast he was. He was running. He was a 4 guy, not a 5+ guy. He was a 4. I said, okay, so you running 4.2, 4.3. He would say, I was a 4 guy. It's okay. All right, JB.
So he never let the football days let it go with you guys.
No. I mean, we would talk about it. We bring it up when we start talking about sports and stuff like that. He talk about the time, you know, played against Emmitt Smith. A lot of the times they played against University of Miami, and just a lot of the Oklahoma State, you know, a lot of the teams that they played against, and he would talk about, you know, how he did, and then he got hurt, and he, I think he had a career injury, ending torn ACL, and back then ACLs that was career ending. Now it's almost nothing, but that's what kind of that was his day. That he did his time at TU until he got hurt and became a police officer.
In all seriousness, too, you know, working with John so long, you know, and we worked in some pretty high-profile, you know, crime-chasing units. You know, the Armed Robbery Task Force. You know, we're chasing armed robbers and street crimes, and you know, and homicide. You know, and there's been more than one time that he's had to have my back, and there's nobody else I would want out there to have my back, and that tells you a lot, because you don't trust your back just to anybody. And he was one of them I would trust my back to anytime.